right after the mistrial of Jodi Arias, I'm going to read what you wrote on your Twitter. If anyone on this earth deserves the death penalty, it's Jodi Arias. All I could say is that I hope she rots in prison for the rest of her life. Okay, so let's talk about that mistrial and your comment about Jodi Arias.
It wasn't a mistrial. It was a hung jury. But I will say this. The trial, just to be, correct, the trial of Jodi Arias found her guilty of murder. And then in Texas, there is a sentencing phase. In most states, there's a sentencing phase that can become its own situation. And in this case, they had another whole procedure to determine what her sentence should be, a sentencing hearing. And in that, there was a jury, and the first jury couldn't decide, and so they had a second jury come in to decide, and that jury also hung at 11-1 as to whether or not she should get the death penalty. Now, the question really is this. There was only one juror on the second jury who decided that she should not get the death penalty. And that juror, it turns out, actually was a person who had a run-in with the DA, the person who prosecuted Jodi Arias. So, in other words, what I'm saying is it's possible that juror was a stealth juror. And by that, I mean she's juror number 17. And she, she didn't make many comments. They deliberated for 26 hours in 5 days' time about whether she should get the death sentence, and they tried to kick her off the jury. And in fact, it turns out that she had, when she got seated on this jury, she said she didn't know much about this case, but she had watched the TV movie about Jodi Arias. I think it was called Dirty Little Secret. And
on Lifetime, yep.
Yep, and the other thing is that her ex-husband was convicted of robbery, okay? And she was in an abusive relationship with her ex-husband. And guess who the prosecutor was of her ex-husband 15 years prior? Juan Martinez, the same prosecutor in the Jodi Arias case. So you tell me all this is a coinky-dink? I don't think so. Now, she's gotten death threats. She's come out and said, I didn't ask for this. I took this seriously, and I didn't, and I don't want, and people are after her, including the other jurors, okay? But this tells me why, again, part of our jury system is broken. Because one of the things, if you're going to believe her, Jordan, which I'm not sure I do, but let me give her the benefit of the doubt and pretend that she didn't know enough about Jodi Arias. And let me also give me the benefit of the doubt and pretend that she didn't care that her ex-husband got put away in prison by the same prosecutor that she's sitting in front of. Okay, let me just forget all that for a minute. And let's say she could put all that aside. I'm going to give her that benefit of the doubt. There's something called a death-qualified jury. If anybody wants to know what that is, it's easy to look up. You can look it up on Wikipedia. But what it means is this, because, I've covered death penalty cases and Scott Peterson and many death penalty cases. And what it means when you have a death-qualified jury, and I've watched them, I watched it for Casey Anthony when I watched the voir dire also for that, and Scott Peterson. And what they ask the jurors is simply this: are you able, if you feel that the crime calls for the punishment, are you able to give somebody the death penalty? Are you able to do that? And in your moral conscience, in your soul, in your set of values, are you able to do that? Do you feel that you can impose capital punishment on someone? And the juror is asked that. And if they say no, if they say, and I've watched jurors get asked, and if they say, gee, I don't feel the death penalty is right. I don't believe in it, or I'm not sure I could actually, that it's my place to tell anybody else that they should be, sent to die, then they're not qualified to serve on a death penalty jury. And what I found interesting about this woman, number 17, who claims she was doing her job and she didn't know anything about Jodi Arias and she didn't care that her husband was prosecuted by Juan Martinez and et cetera, is that what she said was that basically, she says, I didn't ask for this. I just showed up for jury duty. And in essence, she described the attacks on her and her family, and she said that there were brutal battles in the jury room, but she believed Arias should not be put to death. And it seems to me that in her case, she had a problem with putting someone to death. She was not a death-qualified juror. And
do you think she just wanted to be a part of the team there and maybe write a book or something?
She might have just wanted to be part of the team. I mean, look, when people were saying this could be a Jodi Arias death penalty trial, there was a mistrial declared for the sentencing phase, okay? And when this juror 17 was brought into the courtroom, she said, oh my God, I was shaking. The seriousness of the matter hit me right away. Well, you know what? The seriousness of the matter apparently didn't jive with her because she came out recently and made a statement anonymously and said that she spared Arias's life because she felt the death penalty is a way to get revenge, okay? Or she said, I'm sorry, I'm misquoting it. She says this is a conspiracy theory, that she spared Arias's life as a way to get revenge against Martinez for putting her husband behind bars. And even though she says it's preposterous for her to hold a grudge or blame Martinez for doing his job, there's something wrong with this picture. It's more than just a theory to think that this woman whose ex-husband was put away by Martinez, okay, that this woman who watched that dirty little secret movie about Jodi Arias...
why did Martinez strike her? That becomes the question then.
What do you mean?
He had the power. If he had this information, Mr. Martinez, why didn't he strike her?
Because he didn't know it. Well, he didn't know it at the time. She did. Look, here's the thing. You can't strike somebody.
She revealed it.
She revealed. No, she did. She revealed that she had. She didn't reveal everything, but she did reveal that she knew about the Arias case, and she said something about. She disclosed that her husband had served time in prison before they met and said that she had an abusive relationship with her ex-husband who was convicted of robbery. And, but she did not divulge that it was Juan Martinez who prosecuted her ex-husband 15 years prior. So again, there it is. If Martinez had known that, he would have disqualified her. For sure.
And the legend, good.
No, I'm just saying that he wouldn't have just disqualified. She would have been disqualified. He wouldn't have had to have been a strike. She would have been disqualified because there's a prejudice, there's a bias there. Come on. You're telling me your ex-husband has been put away by this prosecutor and you're going to sit on his jury and you can be unbiased? Please. Come on.
She did stick to her guns for a week allegedly from one Thursday where they went back and they said that they couldn't come to a conclusion. Then they went back there allegedly, and Judge Stevens says try to work it out, and then they went the whole week and she wouldn't budge, which actually some of the jurors gave her credit if you listen to the press conference doing that, but yeah.
But again, if that's the case, and there's no revenge involved, and there's nothing about, let me pretend that none of that matters, and that none of it matters that she knew about Jodi Arias, and none of that matters, and that all we have is 12 people sitting in a room deciding on death or life for somebody like a Jodi Arias who did what she did in cold blood. That person at 11-1 could not be swayed by 11 people, and she took an oath to uphold and promised that she could and would impose capital punishment if it was merited, and then she refused to do so. Now, that alone tells me she either lied about being death penalty qualified or she was a stealth juror with an agenda. One or the other. There's no way around it. None. Not in my opinion. I wish I could get my hands on her. I'll tell you. Excuse me?
Before that, who is that? The Jodi Arias? You wish you could get her? The juror.
Yeah, I wish I could. No, you know what? I wish I could get my hands on the juror because I think the juror is one more example of destroying our court system and making things more difficult for people, and spending $3 million on that Arias case and winding up now having to house her in prison for the rest of her life. But I will say, on the other hand, just on a side note, personally, I'd rather see Jodi rot in hell and suffer behind bars forever than actually be put out of her hellish misery that she has to live in her mind with. Because I believe that all murderers...
Anyway,
Sorry?
That any shot that Judge Stevens gives her parole.
Not a chance. Not when hell freezes over and then it's frozen even more, and the earth melts completely, and there's no more earth. That's when she'll be released. When the earth dies out.
I do want you to